Jimmy Butler to the Warriors, this makes too much sense not to happen. I'm going to take a look at what the deal would look like between the Golden State Warriors and the Miami Heat landing Jimmy in the Bay. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. We're getting our subscribers up heading into the NBA season, so do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, hit the like as well. So here's what's going on right now. Sam Amick of The Athletic said Jimmy Butler is going to be a free agent next summer, didn't get an extension done. The Warriors have interest there and probably made a couple of calls this summer about Golden State and Jimmy Butler. Now, look, the Warriors have been looking for upgrades for a while. We know last year at the trade deadline, they were calling the Lakers, talking about LeBron James and seeing if they could bring him up to Golden State. We already have Joe Lacob saying that he doesn't want the Warriors to be just an average team. No, they want to be an exceptional team. They've also made some moves this off season. For example, they added Steph Curry another year onto his deal, gave him the most they can and an extension. He applied the over 38 rule applies here to him, but Steph Curry is now under contract for as long as he possibly can be with the Golden State Warriors. That's 3 more seasons for Steph and Golden State. That means they're making that commitment to Steph that we are going to try to win. We're going to do what it takes to take this window and win another championship. You look at the contracts they've got lined up. Steph, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green. Boom, boom, boom. 3 contracts in a row, all lined up, all expiring in 3 years. Now with Wiggins, Draymond, they have player options for that final year. Steph, it's just a full deal, but still, you'd have to imagine Wiggins, Draymond, they would probably pick up those player options. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, though, that all 3 of those guys are going to make it to the finish line. In fact, I would predict that they aren't, that at least one of them is going to wind up getting moved before their contract is up. And if you had to put money on any one of those 3 to wind up being on the way out of Golden State, it is Andrew Wiggins. His game has slipped a little bit. Yes, he's just 29 years old. Yes, a few seasons ago, he was an integral piece in winning the Warriors a championship. But if you are the Warriors and you're looking at just a 3-year window, can you really pass up the opportunity to go get Jimmy Butler, to get a guy who's a true superstar? Andrew Wiggins, for all the hype that he came into the league with, is not that. And Jimmy, he steps it up in the postseason. So let's flip it to the other side. We know the Warriors would and should have interest in Jimmy Butler. Why the hell would the Miami Heat want to trade him? After all, Heat culture, right? Isn't Jimmy the perfect example of all the things that the Miami Heat want to be? Well, yes and no. Here's the problem for Miami and Jimmy Butler. Butler wants a contract extension. He's also 35 years old and wants a contract extension. He wants a max extension. He has a player option on his contract next summer, so he can hit free agency next summer. Now, the Warriors, again, would probably have to trade for Jimmy Butler. It's unlikely, unless they did something drastic, they'd be able to go sign him in free agency, but Jimmy is trying to put that pressure on the Miami Heat to give him the contract extension that he wants. And we've been hearing rumors of different destinations all off season coming from Jimmy Butler that he would be interested in going to if Miami doesn't want to give him that extension. In other words, trying to put more pressure on Miami. For a little while there, it was the Philadelphia 76ers. Hey, maybe Jimmy could go back to Philly. He could go play with Joel Embiid. He can play with Tyrese Maxey. That's going to be the plan. Heat, you'd better pay up because otherwise the 76ers might come get him. Most recently, it's been the Brooklyn Nets, which makes no sense. Not for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler might like Brooklyn, and that's fine. He may like being in New York. He might like the idea of playing for the Nets franchise. There's certainly a lure there. But for the Brooklyn Nets side, why would they want Jimmy Butler? They're rebuilding. Finally. Thank you. Nets fans should be thanking the basketball gods that they made that Mikal Bridges trade. And finally, this franchise has a direction. That direction should not be trading for Jimmy Butler, who is not going to still be good by the time the rest of the Nets roster is ready to go win basketball games. So, look, Jimmy may be interested in Brooklyn. It may be an added way to put pressure on the Miami Heat, but there's no way that Brooklyn should be interested in Jimmy. Conversely, though, the Warriors actually make sense. The 76ers, they went and got Paul George. They're done. They're out. They're not going to get Jimmy Butler. The Nets, it makes no sense for the Nets to want Jimmy. Jimmy can want the Nets. The Nets should not want Jimmy. The Warriors, it's perfect. It is for both sides. You know, the Warriors have this limited window. Jimmy wants to win. What better way to do that than to go to the Bay with Steph Curry? And you know what? There's some players who might see the flack that Kevin Durant took and that might dissuade them from going to Golden State. That was certainly part of the concern from Rich Paul with the LeBron situation when the Warriors were talking to the Lakers about potentially trading for LeBron. Reportedly, part of the reason why Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, didn't want to see that go down, and why LeBron didn't want to see that go down, was because they were worried about the backlash they would get. Again, KD got ridiculed for going to Golden State, coming off of a 73 win season, and LeBron and his group said, no, we don't want any part of that. Is there anybody that would care less about the fan reaction, about any kind of scrutiny, than Jimmy Butler? Like, he would not care if he got flack in the media or something like that for going to Golden State. So let's build a trade, because again, I think this makes all the sense in the world. The Warriors have a limited window. Jimmy's got a limited window where he's going to continue to be a star, 35 years old. I'm not suggesting the Warriors should give him a 4-year extension, but if you're Golden State, is he an upgrade over Andrew Wiggins? Absolutely. If you can get Jimmy Butler, you have a better chance of winning a championship in the next few seasons, and that's all they're trying to do right now, is maximize that window around Steph Curry at the moment. All right, let's build out this trade. Jimmy Butler going to Golden State. I think that makes a lot of sense. I've also got Thomas Bryant going to Golden State via the minimum exception, because there's a challenge where the Miami Heat, they're a first apron team. They're above the first apron. That means they can't they can't take back more salary than they send out. Meanwhile, the Golden State Warriors are hard capped at the first apron. So it's a little bit tricky coming up with the trade. But let's assume we're going to build something off of Andrew Wiggins. That makes sense. Butler would be taking over Wiggins' role in the offense anyway, and he's got a nice almost $27 million salary that you're going to make your basis of everything. All right. Now, so you've got Andrew Wiggins. Now, you could just do something like Draymond Green. Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green together, off you go. Jimmy Butler, Thomas Bryant coming back, done deal. And that's it. Now, if you're the Warriors, do you want to trade Draymond? No, probably not. You'd rather hang on to Draymond for a title run. Again, Draymond means a lot to the Warriors franchise. This is not ideal. This is just an easy way to make the math work. 2 players in, 2 players out, off you go. Easy peasy. But assuming the Warriors would not want to trade Draymond, and let's face it, if Miami is worried about Jimmy's age and giving him his next big deal and all of that, does Miami even really want Draymond as the main piece coming back? It really depends on what they're trying to build around Bam Adebayo. Are they going to try to do a soft reset? Where do they go? But let's assume that the Warriors, at the very least, the Heat may be out too if Draymond's in, but let's assume the Warriors don't want to trade Draymond Green. Okay, well, the great thing about the Warriors, they still have a bunch of expiring contracts that are that kind of mid-size. You know, this $9 million for Gary Payton II. Great. That's fantastic to be able to throw into a deal. Kevon Looney is an $8 million expiring. Boom. All right, now we're getting closer here. Now we're getting closer. You've got $48 million, almost $49 million coming in if you're the Warriors with Jimmy Butler. Remember, they are hard capped at that first apron, so they've got to be pretty close there. And then Miami can't take back more salary than they're sending out. So we got to make sure that we're getting this just right. Let's add some young talent. Brandon Podziemski, he's out. The Warriors aren't going to move him. We know that they wouldn't move him for Lauri Markkanen. No chance they're going to move him for Jimmy Butler. Jonathan Kuminga, I know the Heat would love to get him, and they should. I think Jonathan Kuminga is going to be really good. I just worry that in a situation for Jimmy Butler here, 35 years old, needs a new contract. I don't know if that's really going to be the fit. See, what happens is when players are in the situation where they need a new contract and teams aren't that excited about giving the player that next contract, their trade value goes way down. I mean, look, Brandon Ingram is not 35 years old, but contractually he's in that same situation, and the Pelicans can't move him. There's just not enough interest in giving him that contract. So I'm not expecting the Heat to get top dollar here. I'm expecting them to get some financial flexibility. Maybe there's some draft capital that comes in, but that's why I'm going to go Moses Moody rather than Kuminga or Podziemski. And this is where, if you are, and this works, now obviously you'd have to do some things in order to make it work in terms of roster spots and everything. But this is where, if you're Miami, you're saying, okay, we don't have to be the team to give Jimmy his next deal. Are we getting enough back? Is a couple of expirings in Gary Payton and Kevon Looney, who are fine players in their own right, but they're not players that are going to get the Heat excited. Is Moses Moody enough? Plus we add Andrew Wiggins on the wing for the next few years. Is that enough for us to move on from Jimmy Butler? Again, if I'm Miami, I'm probably saying We don't want, give us Jonathan Kuminga. If you want Jimmy Butler, give us Jonathan Kuminga. And if I'm the Warriors, I probably balk at that. I probably don't go that far. So, okay, what can we do to try to help out Miami? Can we add in some draft capital, perhaps, going to the Miami Heat? Let's go take a look. What do the Warriors have to offer here? They have their own first in 2025. What if you were to send a protected first round pick in 2025? Would that be enough? I think the answer should be yes. Let's say you add that in. There you go. Miami gets Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton II, Kevon Looney, Moses Moody, plus a protected pick. Let's call it a lottery protected first round pick in 2025. It would go down to, let's call it top 10 protection in 2026 if the pick hasn't conveyed, and then would just become second rounders after that. So again, assuming the Warriors are going to be a playoff team, they add Jimmy Butler, they're going to make the playoffs, that pick should convey in 2025. So there it is. That deal makes a lot of sense to me. Miami getting some pieces for Jimmy. They don't have to be the team to give Jimmy the contract that clearly they don't want to give him. For Jimmy Butler, he gets to move on, gets to go to a team that can help him contend for a championship, can play alongside Steph, can play alongside Draymond Green. Miami gets back a young guy in Moses Moody. You get a little bit of draft capital. You get some expiring contracts that are going to help clear up your cap sheet. This is one of those trades that I think just makes way too much sense. This is exactly the kind of thing the Warriors should be doing. And for a Miami Heat side that is now built really, or going to be built around Bam Adebayo, who is a veteran, but he's not up there in years like Jimmy Butler. It's going to be time to start looking at a post-Jimmy Butler life, and this would allow Miami to really pivot into that with a little bit of draft capital coming in, plus you get some young players and you get some replacement pieces. You're going to have to make some roster moves in order to make it all fit. That's the trickiest part of all this. But again, Jimmy Butler to the Warriors is something that makes a ton of sense for everybody involved. Maybe it makes too much sense to the point where it makes so much sense that it actually won't get done. But everybody give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Jimmy Butler to Golden State. Sounds like there's real interest here, and this could happen. Give me your thoughts on the potential deal. Do you like it? Which side do you like it for? Who would say no in a Jimmy Butler to Warriors proposal? Till next time, everybody, subscribe right here to the channel. See ya, and stay safe.